Hey golfers, so recently I posted a short video on my Instagram page talking about a bicep curl and how I was using that concept to work with one of my students here. Now the post got a lot of comments and feedback, and so I sort of put this video together just to explain a little bit more detail what that concept is and how we can use it effectively when playing this short shot around the green. Okay, so the bicep curl, what is it and how are we going to use that to improve our technical proficiency around the greens? So the bicep curl, or the loading and unloading of this lead arm, which is actually the first power accumulator, is used as a concept to create speed, to manage radius in the backswing. And when we're hitting this short shot around the greens, we also need to understand how we can use this effectively. Now, when we're looking at elevating the club around the green, there's a number of different ways to do it, a number of different ways that I see my students do it. We would tend to see it happening through the loading and unloading of this lead wrist, or the cocking and uncocking, otherwise known as radial and ulnar deviation. This would be the second power accumulator in the golf machine. And we also see some back bending of the wrists, which moves this lead wrist into flexion, moves this trail wrist into extension, and that can help with some shaft lean at impact. And the other one, probably a little bit less talked about, is this bicep curl, this bending and straightening of the lead arm. Now in this case, we're not really using the bicep curl as a major source of power as perhaps we would in the full swing. We're using it actually to control the radius in the swing, or what we could say is the arc either being too wide or too narrow, and how that's going to affect the low point. Now, when I'm working with students on a day-to-day basis, is often to help them problem solve on contact, distance control, and obviously shot type that we're looking to hit around the greens. But often it's a contact issue first and foremost that we're looking to kind of iron out. And if we understand that whatever we do in the golf swing, through our setup position, through how our body moves in a certain way, through how we use the club in a certain way, it's going to create some combination, or it's going to have some effect on how steep or sharp the club comes into the ground, or how potentially shallow it comes into the ground. And it's really kind of finding that balance that's right for you as a golfer. Now, the concept of the bicep curl, I tend to use more with students that are either having issues or challenging controlling the wrist, the up and down, or the side-to-side nature of how they use the club. And ultimately, we still want to be able to elevate the club in the swing, meaning that when we start here, the club's obviously on the ground, and we need to get the club somewhat above the level of the hands to allow it to create some sort of descending strike on the ball. Now, often students that say overuse the wrists in this fashion going back, or perhaps in this fashion, can either get the club out of position or just find it really hard to control the bottom of the arc or the low point. So often what we'll introduce is this concept of a bicep curl, or this slight fold of the trail arm here. Now, just to kind of back up one step, the other really important key factor in understanding the bicep curl is to control the radius, meaning that if I have a student that comes to me and they're very stiff and they're very tight with their arms, with really no softness to them, they're going to tend to not elevate the club at all. We have a very stiff nature to how they do things. I would also say when the arms are overextended, it's very easy for the club to bottom out before the ball. Essentially, the arc gets too wide too soon, and the club again is going to strike somewhere behind the ball. So the concept of the bicep curl is beneficial for multiple reasons. It's going to allow for some elevation as we swing the club back in this plane of motion. And it's going to allow for us to, let's say, control the radius, or let's say the flexing of the elbows a lot more easily. I would also say it does have some influence on speed. You know, as the club gets elevated, it's traveling further, and it's going to have more energy into the ball. So a really great exercise to feel this is just simply place your finger on the crease of the elbow joint there, and as you swing your right arm back, just allow that right arm to fold in. And again, that would be the equivalent of doing a small bicep curl, maybe about a quarter of your full range of motion. And it also gives us enough elevation of the club, to propel the ball 15, 20, even 25 yards. So let's look at one. And with that concept, it allows the club to move up and down in a very natural way. And as long as we're pivoting our body through, so I'm turning my chest through, I can get a nice click on the golf ball. And it's going to allow me, as I mentioned, to create enough speed into the ball that I can create some height and some spin in the shot. So the bicep curl, again, just in summary, it's really a power accumulator, but in this instance, we're using it more just to elevate the club in a very subtle way. And we're also using it to control the radius. So if I put two hands on the club here and swing back, you'll see that my lead arm, although it's comfortably extended, isn't overextended or overstretched. And this also allows the club to not dig too sharply into the ground. And again, I'm just naturally pivoting my body through to make sure that the club contact is at the ball, moving slightly up and through past the ball. So give it a go. Again, it's a great exercise to do to create some feel, to create some elevation in the swing, and really allows for much better timing and contact when you're hitting these short shots around the green. So if you're new to the channel, do like, do subscribe. I'm going to be looking to post more regularly, more video content like this. So let me know what you're looking for. Hopefully you got some value out of this, and look forward to seeing you in the next one.